Reapers are keepers.
There we go. And as far as gear,
All minstrel.
let me flex my new legendary shirt.
Oh,
Hey,
nice.
nice.
Okay, okay.
Congrats. About time.
Thank you,
I
thank
know,
you.
right?
Vampirism. Okay.
So that one is kind of there are a few options for the rune, but that one is a good, solid, high power, high tankiness option.
Ooh, I forgot about that. That is a good one. Man, that is a real good one. Huh. What's your health at with that?
So just sitting at 23k right now, 23.4.
That's not bad.
I'm using Marauders, and trinkets are mostly Berserker. Berserker weapons. On the side of the weapons, I like Staff, mostly because it's an option to recharge your life force, as well as 1200 range. I mean, I like having range to be able to reach stuff. But the axe is really a must. Axe is really, really strong for power. The focus is great for some boon rips. But if you're not running staff, then the higher DPS option is to get in your scepter dagger. Always want sigils of energy in all of your Warlords World builds. Absolutely all of them. Don't care what anybody says. If you want to stay alive, have a sigil of energy. But aside from vampirism, I mean, you'll see on meta battle like the min max, Rune of Scholar probably. I mean, you're not gonna. You may or may not be at 90% health. So there's other good options. Eagle's really good. Anything that gives some power, depending on what you're lacking. Are you not dying? Get some power. Are you dying a lot? Durability, Rune of Durability is a good option. But I really like vampirism because it gives you two things. All right, so let's move on up here. Just gonna find some things to hit and such. Jump over this gap. All right, I'm gonna double check some settings with you guys because they matter a lot for Necro. I feel, especially with the AOE's. Just double check your ground targeting. In your options, the first tab there, go down to the combat movement towards the bottom. Fast, the drop down for ground targeting, fast with range indicator. I really, really, really recommend. You could do instant as well, but normal is not so good. I also like the checkbox down a bit there for lock ground target at maximum skill range. And so what that ends up doing is, say you press and hold one of your AoE keys. So like the well, you press and hold your 7 or whatever it would be, and you'll get your green targeting box to show you where you can put it. But it won't let you put it further than your range. So you can kind of float it around there where you're holding down the key until you want it where you have it where you want it, and then you release the key. So less key presses, less clicking, faster hits. So you can just put your cursor where you want damage to be and just press the buttons. It's once you get the hang of it, it's way, way, way faster AoEs. And you can just dump all of your staff, your well, and your scepter stuff all in one spot, right? Really, really fast. Same thing for Scourge. It just, you have to be able to dump all your AoEs really quick in one spot to get that bomb off. All right, moving up. So Necro basic mechanic is the life force, the blue, or not blue, the green juice that you get from killing things or hurting things, which then powers your Reaper Shroud. So you are responsible for maintaining that. You have to go into a fight with having life force, or else your skills don't work. So what we need to do first and foremost is to find some critters to kill. Can be like sheep, can be guards, can be any animal or critter that actually dies. Actually, I'm going to show you a trick right quick. Switch one of your skills to summon bone minions. So summon bone minions. So you summon the minions, you press it a second time. Now watch your life force, and it'll go up. You explode your minions, you get life force. And we get stuff for other people's minions too, so bonus. Now we're probably all full. So if you need some quick life force when you're at spawn, you're getting ready, just do that real quick, and then switch your skill back to what it's supposed to be. Alright, so we're all juiced up. I did not know that. So you can even get health force from like gates and walls. That's crazy.
Yep, that's actually how I built it on my Scourge.
Smart. Okay, so yeah, you need health force, just PVD. Hit her door a little bit. Another fun fact, a lot of your condies can apply to siege. You can put bleeding and poison and stuff on siege. Alright, so the #1 job of the Necro, which is shared with the Spellbreaker and Chrono somewhat now, is boon removal. So you need to be thinking in your rotational stuff of boon rips first. And you've got a couple. That's the biggest one. Good old Well of Corruption. And so that's AoE and it pulses, so it's high value. You wanna save that to plop it on the enemy when they're in a choke or when there's a bunch of them together. If you're hearing wells, if you're in corrupts, that's what we need. But that's not all you got. You have your focus, which is also 1200. So don't slack on your focus. That 1200 range is the longest you got, especially if you don't have a staff. So you can rip boons from way farther than your other weapons are going to reach them. You've also got a little bit closer in, more melee CC, but still boon rip. The Unholy Feast there. What is unfortunate is that this stuff doesn't work very well in PvE, such as attacking this guy. But in a normal fight, an enemy is going to have a ton of stability, a ton of protection, a ton of Aegis that we got to remove before we can actually damage them. So your main jam that the Spellbreaker can't do, because he can only do boon rips up close, is you can do boon rips far. So with your knowledge now gained of how you can use the ground targeting to kind of see where that Well of Corruption is going to land, you now know when you press and hold that how far 900 range is, because that is 900 range. So what you need to do is get comfortable with pressing that skill, going up in 900, and then stepping a bit back so you don't get your ass killed. So what we're going to attempt to do here, even though it's not going to do anything to this Lord really, is we're going to step up and all drop Well of Corruption. What the hell? We'll drop Well of Suffering, both wells. So we're going to step up, drop both wells, step back. 3, 2, 1. There's 1. There's 2. And jump back. He's aggroing on us, and that's fine. But that's kind of what we're aiming to do. Now we're going to just go in Reaper Shroud. Press your F1 and press your 4. Spin, spin, spin. Get a 1 in there. And then just go to your auto attack. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You can press 2 again if you want. That's just about it for the Nornsmith here. That's not an ideal Reaper rotation. That's just, oh, we're there. We need damage real quick. Your Well of Corruption sets it up. Your Well of Suffering also sets it up because Well of Suffering is vulnerability. On top of the damage it's pulsing, it's vulnerability. So that's going to make your Shroud more powerful. As well as everybody else's bomb. So it's not just about you, it's about the rest of the group getting a stronger hit off. Let's push up here. So what else do you have? You have a little bit of range if you're going with your staff that we already mentioned. You have some with your Scepter Dagger if you're playing Scepter Dagger. You've got some decent range Boon Rip with your Scepter 5. You got some... Welcome.
What's going on?
You got some Cripple with your Scepter 2. So if they're pushing, Cripple is a good option to try to stop their push. If you hear CCs, that's what we're wanting at Scepter 2. So you're kind of trying to set up your hit. You're trying to remove boons. You're trying to apply vulnerability. Get some Cripple in if you can, depending on what they're doing, how much time you have. And then it's Reaper time. So we're going to go ahead and step outside here. All right, so Reapers are more melee based than base Necro or Shroud. The Shroud form gives you a whole second life bar, as well as just a ton of extra tankiness and general melee up in your face hits. But you can't stay there forever. You don't have unlimited life force. So, excuse the airplane going by here. You can't stay in melee forever, and that's a big mistake that a lot of Necros make, is that they just want to like jump in and push and do their spin and just stay in Reaper Shroud forever, and then they stay up close to the enemy and they run out of Reaper Shroud and then they pop. You're better playing if you're in and out. You can't stay doing one thing the whole fight, and a good commander's not going to do that either. They're going to go in, they're going to range first, they're going to do the melee push, and they're not going to stay there. They're going to move after they melee push because counter hits happen. So your game is to get your wells off, get your range stuff in, do the melee push along with the group, by the way, not just like, oh, I feel like pressing Shroud 2. With the group. You play really well with warriors and generally staying with the guardians because you don't have stab. So if you outpush your guardians, you don't have stab, you're going to be the target. Like, people are targeting the Reapers. Don't outpush your group. Don't outpush your group. But beyond that, we have some guards up here. So what it looks like with that dog there, he's not going to make it too far, so I'm going to skip the range part that we already did with the wells and all that, but I'm also a little low on juice. So 2 is a good gap closer. You can move. 3, stability. 4, massive AoE damage spin that you can move while you're doing. And then at that point, the 1 is actually really where you get the really big damage. Like the auto attack in Shroud form is huge, huge. It's 1/1/1 to the face. The 5 is a good stun, but don't feel like you have to do it because it might be taking away from the damage you could be doing in 1 because it's not fast. Yes. And it's kind of hard to practice some of the Shroud stuff because you run out of juice and then you gotta wait till it's built up again. But do our bone minions and rebuild our light force. Bone minions deployed. You just have to be able to jump out of combat to do that trick. It's not always the easiest once fights are happening. I don't think we really brought supply, but there we go. Awesome. So then it kind of repeats. You go in with a good tag, you're getting off your push, you use your push to push in. Hopefully you're there at the same time as the warrior bubble. You're doing your spin with the 4, you're just smacking the hell out of everything. And then it's time to move. You jump out of a Shroud to save your life force, because it does run out if you don't want to waste it. And then you're going with the tag, and you're going back to your wells that should be available by then. You're going back to your ranged staff or your ranged scepter. Waiting for your skills to recharge, waiting for the next moment where you're going to push in like a, and actually finish with a second spin. That's the 1 push is not how the game is. It's not just stack up, push, and win. Like, there is a longer fight. They do have sustain. They can slow us down. They can out heal us. So expect to kind of not win in 1 Shroud. You're going to have to do more skills than that. All right, so he's not aggroed. Perfect. So we're going to actually execute. So we're going to drop the wells on him. And then we're going to get our ranged weapons, and then we're going to go to Shroud. So in 3, 2, 1, step up and wells. Both wells. Ranged weapon CC. And Shroud. Shroud 2. Reaper form. Push up. And spin with the 4. Spin, spin, spin. Just hit him with the 1. Alright, now we're going to drop Reaper Shroud. Step back. Dodge back away. And hit him with some range. Hit him with the axe. Hit him with the staff. Move a bit. We're going to circle right. Not standing still. Circling right. Shroud should be ready again. Go back into Shroud. We're going to push in with 2. And spin again. Spin, 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 spin. We're moving while we spin. We don't stand still. Keep moving. And that's just about it. One other thing with that that Shroud 2 movement, it'll screw you up if you're not paying attention. It will go either what you're targeted at or what you're facing. So if you have some random guy targeted that's behind you, that's where you're going to go.
Replenishing.
So this red thing. All right, we'll stop at this BlackBerry node here, and I will ask, what questions do you have?
Yeah, so I had a question about bulls. So, I don't know if I asked this with the Scourge training last time, but the Spectral Grasp. Oh, I did. Oops.
Spectral Grasps, yes.
Sorry, I pinged that to, I whispered it to someone on accident. So the Spectral Grasp, is that fine to bring with, like, select,
Time to do some real damage.
select Reapers or, Scourges?
So I would say you're going to get in more trouble than it's worth most of the time.
Okay.
Mostly because it can be reflected.
Oh, yeah.
And unlike most pulls where they pull towards an AoE, this pulls towards you. So
Okay.
if you hit somebody and they have a reflect on them, you go towards them, and you don't want that.
Okay. I think I've seen that before.
Yeah, and most people think something weird's happening or they're hacking it, but no, it's because you pulled somebody that had a reflect, and it happened to you. So
Okay.
yeah, no, unless we're like fucking with people on a wall or something
Yeah.
specific where you want to switch it out right quick, generally a little dangerous to play that one.
Okay.
But I'm
Makes
glad you
sense.
mentioned that because Reapers have a pull that others don't because you have a great sword.
Yeah. Let me equip that.
And a lot of Reapers really, really like greatsword, and it has a really nice pull on it. I don't love greatsword because it makes the Reaper a little too melee oriented in my mind, and they don't play any range. I kind of like the melee option to be the Shroud, and then you're out and back to range. But the greatsword can be really strong. It has a really strong pull. It has a lot of damage, so it can work really well. But the pull is probably the big reason for bringing that greatsword.
Okay.
Elite, thank you. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna move up here and get this guy. Veteran will be a little harder to kill.
Could outrun a centaur.
So as far as the elite, it's small range. It's 700 range. So kind of like Ghastly Breach or Warrior Bubble or a lot of things really. It's an up close one. So when you're in a melee push but you don't have your Shroud up, when you're in close and you're out of Shroud, that's the time to use it, I guess. The only other skill I haven't really mentioned is the heal and the not optional stun break. I mean, the heal, your soul is mine is nice because it works with your shout trait. It gives you some life force, etc. Another good one, particularly in smaller groups, can be consume condition. You'll see some people run that. And as far as the you are weaklings, you gotta have a stun break, and that is kind of the only good one on the Reaper end. Beyond that, the other options would be Spectral Armor, or for a lot of more roamer stuff, you'll see Spectral Walk. So I want everybody to try out Spectral Walk real quick, just to kind of squash some hacking myths. It's totally a teleport, and if you don't know what you're looking at, you're like, oh my god, that Reaper's cheating. It's not.
Yeah.
You do that, so you'll see a bunch of Reapers. They'll do their Spectral Walk. They'll run up. They'll YOLO and drop all their skills, and then they'll teleport back. It's worthless. It's cheese. Like, you just do that if you're trying to bait people or just get bad players into a bad situation, basically.
So what's your opinion on Scourge versus Reaper? What you think's better for War vs. War?
I don't think there's a better. I think they do different stuff.
Oh, agreed.
By far, without question, the Scourge wins at Boomrips. The Scourge also tends to win at range damage, but the Reaper's always going to win at melee damage.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know with the whole surfing thing.
It depends on our group, really. Like, if we're super outnumbered, if we lack warrior bubbles, we kind of can't do melee pushes, except for at the very end when we're already winning.
That's what I'm noticing on Reaper. I've been trying to decide if I should go Scourge or Reaper before I make my ascent.
Yeah, no, it is not always easy on the Reapers, and that's why I tend to push a lot of the range weapons, because you have stuff you can do before we get into your Shroud. You've got your staff is really great for having the 1200.
No, yeah,
The
that's what I
scepter,
run.
the dagger. But no, I mean, you're right. It is tougher to get as much out of a Reaper if you're not pushing in a lot. And depending on the fights we get, we may or may not be able to. But the switch between Reaper and Scourge is pretty easy, because your gear is the same, and you can just click 2 buttons now with the templates. Oh, I'm Scourge. Oh, I'm Reaper now. And that's really great. Along with the Guardians, the Necros have more flexibility than most, depending on what we need. If you're comfortable with both, I can say, hey, can you switch from Scourge to Reaper? Yes, great. We have what we need now.
PvP wise, I'm comfortable with Core and Reaper. Not Scourge, not having had a lot of time with Scourge, to be honest. But Reaper and Core, I pretty much rate people. How's Core, like Core Condi? Is that even viable in Warwar's World?
Core doesn't really see much play in group. It's
That's what I
got
was
some
thinking.
strong options in roaming and stuff, just because it's pretty tanky. But that's kind of what's got going for it right now. We'll see after the balance updates if it gets some love. But
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really kind of what it comes down to. The Scourge is the boon rips, the range boon rips that don't happen from any other class except for maybe Chrono. They just don't. Like that job in the group is the Scourges. The Chrono's kind of doing some of that now, but if you don't have that, you either push into melee and you catch them in a bubble, or you don't win. You just don't.
Yeah.
Boons make the fights either way. So if you ignore them and you just throw damage at them, they're gonna soak it up.
Yeah, I think after this weekend, I'm going to run Scourge and then I'll decide which way to go. Well, I guess the gear's the same, so I can go ahead and make the gear.
So what we're going to do is push up. We're going to get a quick engage on these Aether Blades because they're about the best thing to fight on this map. So pull on the left side here, simulate a little fight. All right, so the other option that you'll hear sometimes is damage on my feet, damage on your feet. Easiest thing in the world, just leave your cursor on your feet and press all your buttons. Like your wells and your AoEs, if we're in the midst of it, you're chilled, all that. So instead of precasting the wells as range, we're going to push into the middle, and we're going to bring them to us, and then cast our wells on our feet. So we're going to push in the middle here. I'll give you a marker. And 3, 2, 1, let's go. Go ahead and go to Shroud. Jump right in the middle. I'm going to hit the captain. Get your stability up with your 3. Don't get knocked around. All right, now drop out of Shroud. Wells on your feet. Wells, 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 wells. They moved a bit, but ideally a group would push to us. I'm going to dodge roll at this guy. Go back to Shroud. Somebody got to pull in. Keep moving around, cleaning stuff up. Do take advantage of your movement. Like the movement is really, really important. The 2 and being able to move while you're spinning are just everything. Like you can't just spin in one place and expect to hit everybody. They're going to move out of your way. All right, so we're at 30 minutes exactly, and I've pretty much hit the basics of a Reaper. Nothing can save you. Okay.
Is that good use before you do the spin?
So nothing can save you is really nice because it's unblockable. It's damage.
Yeah, because it makes your next 5 attacks unblockable.
It's more about what are you going to give up. Like you can't give up a stun break, so at that point you give up one of your wells, and those are bigger and more damage. So in a smaller group in a roaming situation, I might take nothing can save you, and it's worth mentioning that too. Wells kind of suck in roaming. In small group, not really good. So yeah, in a smaller group situation, I might drop one of the wells and take nothing. Nothing can save you. One of the other shouts, or something more aggressive.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, a lot of the builds is really just about like sacrifices. What are you giving up to put that in? Because it's all trade-offs. All right. Any last questions on Reaper? All right, so that will conclude our reaping portion of this training.